Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. How are you doing? I hope you're well. I hope you're having a great week. Thank you so much for watching. Now, on Sunday, we went out and got some proper foggy atmospheric conditions. Let's jump straight into Lightroom to discuss some of those images. As you can see, shooting in fog, it's not an easy thing to do. There were moments when the conditions would clear just for a moment, and then the countryside would be enveloped in fog once more. If you weren't prepared, you missed the shot. Excuse the pun. It was a morning spent constantly reverting from lens to lens, searching for the right composition, changing to manual focus, because in auto mode, the camera just couldn't latch on to a subject even when something did appear through the gloom. It was a combination of frustration and fun. Like I said when on that hillside, these conditions, they don't come along very often. Certainly not when you want them to. So look, you just have to enjoy the moment as and when it presents itself. Why? Because fog just gives us mood, it gives us drama, it gives us atmosphere. Take this shot for example. We've got the trees emerging from the gloom. Over here we've got this house. It's just about visible in the fog. It's not the perfect shot, but it's the great thing about shooting in raw formats. We can bring the image back in Lightroom and turn it into whatever we want. Look, we can use the temperature, we can make it a nice cold scene, or we can even warm it up, get some nice warmth. Use the Dehaze. You see, here we can bring about extra detail into the scene, but be careful. Look, don't go too crazy, because if you do, the colours become far too exaggerated. Keep the edits to a minimal. Let's play with the highlights, just like how I like to in these videos. Bring out the contrast a little bit. I don't like the warm scene here too much. Let's make it a nice cold one. Let's darken the exposure a little bit. Let's even add a little bit of my favourite style of crop. I just love how there's almost just this little bit of fog. There's no pattern. There's no texture to it. There's no form to fog. It just does whatever it wants. See that detail? Look, now you can just slowly see that house coming out a little bit more. You've got these little things here. I don't know what they are. I really don't know what they are. Don't know if they're kind of like just bushes part of the tree. But from this far out, they look like dust spots from my lens. I think my lens is a little bit dirty, but not that bad. At least I hope not. I hate having to clean it. Let's put the clarity down a little bit. We don't want to make the scene invisible. We don't want to hide it in the fog again. So we want to be careful there. Okay, bring out the scene just a little bit. There we go. A little bit bluer. Let's bring out. I'm not a fan of pulling the vibrance and the saturation to the right, but sometimes it needs to be done. The difficulty in editing, don't forget, it's like a painting. Not enough effort and it can look unfinished. Too much effort and it looks over exaggerated. Find your happy medium. Don't be afraid to experiment out in the field, try new techniques. Or at least I learn from taking shot after shot, finding out what works, what doesn't. Then I'll tend to load up my work in Lightroom afterwards. Like what I'm doing now here, I'll critique what I see, so that if ever I go back to a location, I know what not to waste my time on. I'll know what works, what doesn't for any future location. I'll learn from my mistakes. This particular scene is a photo merge in Lightroom, 2 images that are focus bracketed to try and get both the highlights and the shadows from this scene. Let me show you. If I pull the highlight slider to the left, it darkens the background. If we do it to the left, of course, it'll lighten it up a little bit more. Same with the shadows on the foreground. Pull that slider to the left and look how the hill just disappears a little bit. Pull it to the right and it appears a little bit more. You've got the smallest amount of light falling on the hillside, the curves of the ridge acting as a leading line into our foggy scene. This, however, is where attempting to bracket handheld hasn't quite worked out. I've lost a little bit of the scene just here, so I'm forced to kind of crop out the areas that haven't quite worked properly. Thankfully, in this case, I'm not too bothered, but of course might not be so lucky next time round. Once again, if we use that Dehaze tool, let's pull that to the left, we get a bit more detail in our scene. We burn away some of the fog, something the sun hasn't yet been able to achieve. And we're left with enough detail to our landscape and not some dense foggy mass. So we've got something else we can just play with a little bit. Let's get some detail there. The contrast we want to pull to the right. We don't want to pull that to the left because of course we're just going to lose the detail in the background once more. It's about finding that happy medium again. Shadows, we can pull that to the left and of course get some light focused on the foreground hill. And then do we want to go for a nice warm image this time round? Equally, don't forget to stand back, relax and enjoy the moment. Too often I'll get lost in trying to capture as many compositions on offer in a scene and I won't focus in just enjoying the scene in front of me. Capturing a panorama, getting as much as possible in shot works great. There are some stunning scenes that happen right before our eyes on this earth that you may blink and miss them. Others, like this trip out, we get the luxury of drinking them in, enjoying the moment for as long as needed because they just last for ages. Now, if I'd stayed out at this location for even longer, maybe even waited for the fog to clear completely, and with the rising light, I imagine there would have been some even better compositions on offer. Unfortunately, I had other things to do that day, eating chocolate being one of them, so I had to come away. But I do know for one, if a forecast ever predicts fog, then this is the location to go. I hope the rest of your week goes just as well for you as it does for me. If you've got plans to get out with the camera, I hope you manage to find some great shots. I'll see you soon. Bye for now.